I'm early again, but I'm turning off commenting. Okay, so I'm starting this just slightly differently today. So we're chatting today with Katherine May, who I'm gonna let into this live in just a second. But I just wanted to give you all a sense of kind of her biography-ish, but Katherine is among the many other roles in her life. She is a writer and a podcaster, and we at the Madwoman's Library read Wintering, The Power of Rest and Retreat in Difficult Times. We read that for December, which was perfect. But she also has written a new book that's just come out recently called Enchantment, Awakening Wonder in an Anxious Age. She also has a podcast called The Clearing, which is about seeking sanctuary, which is quite beautiful. So I'm just going to read you something here at the beginning of this book before I bring Katherine on to give you context for the idea of wintering and for winter itself. So she says here, plants and animals don't fight the winter. They don't pretend it's not happening and attempt to carry on living the same lives that they lived in the summer. They prepare. They adapt. They perform extraordinary acts of metamorphosis to get through them. Winter is a time of withdrawing from the world, maximizing scant resources, carrying out acts of brutal efficiency, and vanishing from sight. But that's where the transformation occurs. Winter is not the death of the life cycle, but its crucible. Once we stop wishing it were summer, winter can be a glorious season in which the world takes on a sparse beauty, and even the pavements sparkle. It's a time for reflection and recuperation, for slow replenishment, for putting your house in order. And with that, I will go and grab her. I hope everyone's winter is going well. Okay, let's see. Sorry everybody, this always takes a minute. There she is. Are watching. And let me see if... Aha, there she is.
Hi. Hi.
How are you?
I'm always really scared at the beginning of an Instagram live. Like, it always seems a very fragile thing, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. And I have had like errors with it before where someone will come on and I can't hear them. And yeah, and it is definitely, it's a technology that I feel, I don't know, I struggle with it.
Agreed. Yes. Every time I'm like, yes. We did it.
We did it. We succeeded thus far anyway. So thank you so much for talking with me. I'm excited to speak with you.
Thank you. Thanks for inviting me. And that introduction was lovely. I was just listening. So it's very kind of you. Thank you.
Good. So this is the second time I've read your book, Wintering. I read it first, I think it was right around, when did it come out? 2021-ish? It was pandemic times.
2020. I had to really think about that.
2020, I read it in 2021, and I was in Toronto, and it was, I don't know, must have been lockdown number, whatever the heck it was.
Yeah.
And and I felt like I was seeking what you were speaking about, and I had mentioned in some post that I made that as I was rereading the book, I took on a lot of what you talked about. I became obsessed with ritual and seasonal shift and being present within those seasonal shifts, and even ideas of solstice celebration and kind of slowing all of it down. And I want to thank you for that. It was such a lovely addition to my life. And is that something that you were doing before you wrote the book, or are these things you discovered as you were writing Wintering?
I think some and some. You know, winter has always felt like a very special season to me. It always fills me with childlike glee. I'm still, you know, even in the bleak January bits, I'm still a bit like, oh, it's quite good though, isn't it?
Yes.
Even on dreary days. But writing Wintering was a profound change for me. It really made me think, you know, much more mindfully about what this season meant to me. And I think it was at that moment that I really began to connect my own need for these beats that get you through those dark times. Because despite being a winter lover, I still feel its heft. It's just that I find that very useful. And yeah, I mean, so the sort of midwinter bonfire that I wrote about in Wintering was the first of one that's continued every year since, and has become
really?
become really central to my year. It's interesting how much that book changed me, despite already, you know, being on the winter fandom page.
Yes. Well, and it also, I mean, it does make you think of all of the celebrations of light that we have in the middle of
Mm,
winter, this um, constant like seeking for that coming sparkle that is on its way. And I thought
yeah,
that was so
yeah,
beautiful. But I
yeah.
wanted to ask you, so as I've like gone through your work and I listened to some of your podcasts, which is lovely, and you have this beautiful way of seeing the world, and you seem to be focused a lot on presence, nature,
Mm.
finding joy in the small moments of our existence, which is where joy exists. And I was wondering if that was always the way you were, or if this is something that you developed into.
I think I am a noticer of the small, and always have been. I always describe myself as a kind of look a squirrel person, like I'm not someone that can let a squirrel go past without going, there's a squirrel, everybody, there's a squirrel. When I used to be a classroom teacher, I used to do that in my class as well. And all the kids were like, oh my God, we get into trouble for that in the class. And I'd be like, but it's a squirrel, guys. Like you've got to say hi to the
Yes.
squirrel. Anyway, I think yeah, I'm a detail human. I can't help but notice layers of detail, and I do. I'm endlessly surprised at how much most people miss and how little wonder they feel at small things. That I if there's a pebble on the floor, I've got to pick it up. Um,
Mm,
and I hope I'm showing other people the value of that. That it's not just distraction. It's not just kind of not being serious enough about the world. Picking up a pebble and feeling that little dose of wonder is the kind of thing that gets us through when times are difficult, rather than the kind of thing that we should abandon when we go into adulthood. I just think it's so important.
yeah, I would agree with you. I reread like one of the books that formed me when I was little, younger, was Anne of Green Gables. And Anne
Oh,
Shirley's like that, you know? There's a parallel to the way that I think you speak in her wonder about the world, even as she grows into adulthood. And for
mm,
me personally, it is only in that presence that I have been able to move through, like you say, these difficult times. It feels like it's
yeah,
so
for
innate to
sure.
being human. Um,
Yeah.
and we forget
I've
that.
I have never read Anne of Green Gables, and
What?
I know, I must do it this year because we did like a special Christmas survey of my newsletter readers to ask them what books they loved, what was driving them. Anne of Green Gables came up just everywhere. My readers are obsessed with Anne of Green Gables, so now I absolutely must read it. I
You
really
should.
it just passed me by. You know how it is, these major cultural items that sometimes you just don't catch.
Well, it's magic. For me, she's a magical character. Like
Right.
Anne Shirley is, I mean, she's a writer and
Hmm.
she is different from all the other kids. And she is an orphan. And she's able to find all of this magic and joy in her life. And it's all
Oh,
through the things we're talking about, like
oh,
the way
right.
the
It's a
stream
mission.
moves. Yes, I feel like, and you'll have to tell me, but I feel like she's a kindred spirit for
Okay.
you.
Okay.
She's wonderful. Okay.
I was always obsessed with what Katie did instead because I was a Katie when I was younger. So that was always the one that I turned to.
I don't know that one.
So that's like it's a young girl growing up, trying to figure out how to live in the world. But there were other children who were just, loved the world around them, and yeah, very beautiful.
Yeah, and I suppose because of the way that technology has taken over childhood for a lot of kids, you just don't
Yeah,
have that magic in the same way anymore.
not the same. No, no.
Yeah. So you, with all of your work, you are asking people to do these things, to find magic, to find enchantment, to do all of that. Did it ever become like, is it a mission for you to do that for people? Because it doesn't feel like it's just a personal exploration for you. It feels like it's a collective exploration.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not interested in writing books that tell people what to do. I think there's so many of those, and I think those books have such limitations as well. They're often so brutal, really, in that they set a very prescribed path for people, and if you can't keep up with that, you fail. But the my approach to my books is I'm always interested in them as a sort of collaboration with the reader. Like, how can I walk alongside my reader while we're both in a learning process? I think that's the way I tend to think about it. And so I share my little doses of wonder,
Mm.
but also I try and share the grit of that as well.
Yes.
I'm interested in those sort of micro moods that we move through in our life, and just normalizing those, honestly, and not seeing them as a little bit like not seeing winter as this dead season that we've got to ignore, not seeing our dark seasons and dark moments as these bits of us that we carefully place a bracket round and pretend aren't happening.
Mm-hmm.
I think I try and bring my full humanity to the page, but also try and share the bits that offer me light. And in lots of ways, I'm trying to train myself to notice those
Right.
more than the other bits as well, just like everyone else is, I think.
Yeah, you make a good point, and I don't want to gloss over the fact that what you are talking about is finding, at least in wintering, finding an understanding and almost a peace. Maybe peace is the wrong word. An acceptance
Mm. Mm.
of the fullness of being human.
Yeah.
That the pain that we feel exists in tandem with the joy. I always feel like, I mean, it seems so obvious, but it is those polarities, and those
Mm.
encompass being human, and all of the things change and pass, and we move through waves,
Yeah.
and I think we do forget that. And again, I don't want to talk about, technology too much, but with the curated visions we see of living,
Yes. Yeah.
it's like I think you've spoken about it before, this, like, we've got to change the idea that happiness is the end goal.
Yes. Yeah. Our goal, when you think about it just a little bit, like if we only lived in happiness, not that's just not possible anyway. So I mean, fine. But if we only ever had happiness as an emotion, what a flat life that would be. How boring it would be. We experience a full spectrum of emotions as humans, and we only see some as legitimate.
Mm.
And I think a lot of wintering is about allowing ourselves to be in sadness and not to see it as fun, or even improving in in the very modern
Right.
sense that we talk about that, but to see it as part of the full spectrum of our humanity, to see its beauty, because there is a lot of beauty in sadness,
Yes.
and to allow that whole expression of what we are, that is us, that is an incredible part of us, actually. And great things spring from sadness, but it's also something we need, it's necessary. And yeah, it's just being who we actually are as
Mm-hmm.
humans, and not some weird like happy robot. It's only got one
Yes.
mode.
No, yes. Who would want to be just a happy robot? It does not sound. I mean,
It's
even when
actually
you,
not that nice. Yeah.
no, like when you
Yeah.
watch a film or watch a television show or read a novel that you love, it's never that people are constantly existing within one emotion. It
No.
is about the struggle of our lives and
Yeah.
all of the vicissitudes and variations within that struggle that make our
Definitely.
lives mean something in the end.
Yeah. 100% agree.
Yeah. So I wanted to talk to you a bit about your writing process. How is it that you come to decide on the books that you write or what you want to focus on next?
Oh, I always hate questions about process because my
Ah,
process is so random.
I
I
mean,
would
that is
love
the
to
process then in
say,
some ways.
like, here's the Katherine May system, but no. Wintering was one kind of book for me, which just arrived whole in my head. It
Hmm.
just it just kind of downloaded itself. I've had that a few times, and then it's a case of getting that, trying to translate that vision, that very perfect vision, onto the page, and it's never quite so perfect. Other books, I find I start with a kind of mood, and I start with my need, and like what am I trying to solve at the moment? But it takes me longer to get to that focus, and I often write my way towards
Hmm.
that focus. I throw a lot away. For every book I write, I probably write 4 books worth of content. And
Wow.
yeah, I'm brutal. I'm brutal. And I don't get too attached
Hmm.
to most of the things I write. I think that's what would probably surprise new writers the most about me is, 25 years nearly 30 years down the line of starting to write, I am very casual about
Mm.
rejecting things that I've spent a long time on. Just like toss it
You could
out,
just
it's
be like,
fine.
whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And when I've taught writing, I've often noticed newer writers kind of clinging to
Mm.
their whatever text they've produced, like this has to work because I made it.
Hmm.
And I think the process for me has been learning to just handle that all very lightly. It's almost kind of Buddhist in its the kind of sense of detachment. I made that, and I made that was right for that moment, but it's not necessarily right for the next moment going forward. And so I burn through topics and material quite quickly. It's quite
Mm.
exhausting. I think I must be very annoying to work with because I'm like, oh no, I'm over that now. Sorry, I'm
Yeah, done
done.
with that one.
Yeah, sorry, that was last week. What are you talking about?
But it is fascinating because it seems to imply that you have faith that there's always more, that there are ideas
Yeah,
abundant within you, that your curiosity and your interest in the world is full enough that you don't
yeah.
need to get stuck in one path.
I really believe that. I think we are infinitely resourced as creative people, and inspiration can come from any quarter at any time.
Mm.
That doesn't mean to say it always feels good and satisfying. And I, like everybody else, I go through long periods of like, I've got nothing. I feel like a sort of dry well. But
Mm.
yeah, I believe that. My favorite tarot card is Temperance. I don't know if you know much about tarot,
I
but
do, yes,
the
yes.
kind of infinite pouring of water, that
Mm.
the cup is never empty. I
Mm.
really relate to that. I really believe in that when it comes to my creativity, that I can afford to toss out things that I don't fully love because there will be something else. It might not be tomorrow, but there will be the right thing will come.
Oh, that's beautiful. You in this book, you spoke about you had one idea for what wintering would be.
Mm,
It was that you were going to travel around and meet people and talk about their winterings, and then you went through your own personal wintering,
mm,
and you shifted the entire text.
yeah.
What was that like? Is that something I mean, you're saying you can make those transitions easily, but I'm imagining you
Yeah.
had already gone to a publisher at that point. Was that something
Yeah.
that yeah, how do you handle those changes?
It was really scary. And I,
Mm.
I think the biggest transition for me with wintering was that I'd pitched this book that was about me talking to other people and, you know, acknowledging my past winterings, but looking at them from a kind of high ground of like, yes, I've been through this too, children. It's not very nice, is it? But it's okay. Like, that was my kind of plan. And then winter after winter seemed to visit me in quick succession. And I found myself saying, oh God, this is awful. Like this can't happen to me as I'm writing this book, and trying to push it away. And it took me the longest time, and no writing at all, to to suddenly think I've just got to write this life now. Like there are insights in this. I'm learning all the time. Take a breath and own up to the life that it is.
Mm.
And once I did that, I wrote the book incredibly quickly.
Mm.
And I think there are things in that book that could never have been in there if I hadn't have been living it at the time. Those kind of micro emotions that we were talking about earlier. That there's a bit where I'm walking one morning and I'm talking about the sense of craving, like not craving something specifically, but kind of feeling a craving for something that changed the mood or that muddied the waters a bit. And I love that piece of writing. I feel like it's really true in a way that I have never been aware of before, and I was only aware of because I was writing on that day about that feeling, and I sort of caught an evanescent thing. Yeah, so I had to adapt, and there's definitely pain in that adaptation, which is exactly what wintering's about. There's
Mm-hmm.
definitely that wrench of like, oh God, this is terrifying.
Mm-hmm.
But that's how writing always feels to me anyway, like scary all the way through, start to finish.
Yeah, I don't know if I've spoken to a writer who's like, yeah, it's like awesome.
We hate it. Writers
Yeah,
hate writing. I think
yeah,
that's like
it's
the
such a funny
universal
thing.
experience. It's weird, isn't it? And it's weird that so many people also want to do it. It's quite a. I
Yeah.
mean, artists really love making art. Writers hate writing. I don't know why we do it.
Yeah,
It's
that's
this,
it.
this weird compulsion in us.
It's a compulsion, but it's a compulsion to the truth of something
Mm,
internal or something you see in the world. And I admire it and respect it. Acting is, I suppose, similar in some ways,
yeah.
but our truths are, while personal, it's not the actual content of the person.
Yeah. Yeah. Although, I mean, I see actors putting themselves through incredibly long, drawn out, painful processes to enact something happening to a character. And I often
Mhm.
think, wow, that doesn't look that doesn't look fun. But it
No,
is it hits something crunchy inside you at the same time.
which I
And
think
it's
is
it's
what
sort
it
of
is.
yeah, yeah,
And it's about that
yeah.
reaching out, because if you, Catherine, and you do go internal and you bring these things out to us and you
Mm.
put them on the page and you go through that process, it allows us to have that as your readers, that process as well. We get to
Yeah,
learn
I
from
hope
you
so,
and live
yeah.
vicariously, and
Yeah.
you can clarify things that perhaps we're
Mm.
unable to clarify. And it's such a beautiful thing that you do, and I appreciate it so much.
That there's so much artifice in this world. We're talking on Instagram right now, and when we close the window we're in, we could both scroll down and see 100 images of someone pretending that their life is much more perfect than it
Yes.
actually is. And I the thing that drives me in my work is like cutting through layers of truth and trying to hit that seam of like, oh yeah, this is it. I don't even
Mhm.
know what it is until I start writing. And I quite often pause in the middle of a writing session and think, no, you're not hitting it. Go past that wall. Where's the wall? Let's go through it. Oh yeah, that's hitting home. I'm looking for that feedback from my own
Mm.
emotional response that tells me that I've sort of found some truth there.
That's fascinating. So is it like a visceral feeling that you have? Like when
Mm,
you notice, you know that it's there when you feel it within your body.
yeah, definitely. And I, it's interesting for me quite often. The thing I thought I was going to say,
Mhm.
once got it on the page, I'm like, no, that's not hit me. That's not there.
Ah,
What's that masking? Like that's there. That's clearly my belief. I need to go a level deeper, and that's how I quite often work with my writing. Just it's an excavation, I guess.
yes. Yes, I can relate to that too. I feel like with acting, it's similar where you go into a scene and, I mean, I don't know if, did you watch Hamnet, the movie?
I haven't. I might go and see it tonight. Don't.
Oh, I won't, I don't know if you
I
read the
know what
book.
happens though, so
Yes.
spoilers are fine.
Yes, but
But yeah.
Jessie Buckley, when you go see it, Jessie Buckley's
Mm,
performance is like stunning and
right.
heart wrenching. But
Mm,
she speaks about in her interviews this same sort of a similar process to what you're talking
right.
about. Like you get to a layer and you're like, oh, wait, that's not it. Let's go. Let's keep going. And it's this like
Mm,
corkscrewing down into something that feels wild and
yeah.
unholy and
Yeah.
unpin downable,
Yeah. That's
uncategorization.
it.
Like you can't categorize it or box it. And there's like
Yeah.
a wild truth within that. And it
I
sounds
think,
similar.
yeah, it sounds really similar. And
Mhm.
I think the commonality with acting as well is that often that thing is subtler than
Mm,
the initial idea, that it's not emoting, it's not layering on the kind of drama. You actually go down to something that is in some ways lighter, a lighter
mm,
touch, a much more kind of subtle gesture towards it. And what that does is it invites the reader or the viewer to put themselves into it rather than giving them an emotion.
right.
I think that's a commonality. I can't act, so I have no idea, but that's my guess.
I mean, I'm okay at it. It's not like the best thing
Oh,
in the
yeah,
world,
you've
but
not
it's
done much
fine.
of it. You've not had much of a
But
chance to try.
you definitely go when you watch Hamnet. I don't think I could spoil it for you in the way that, sometimes someone's like, this movie is incredible. It's so good. And you're like, it wasn't that good. I can tell you, Jessie Buckley is just She's amazing, and I
Yeah.
feel like you'll enjoy her
And of
performance a
course,
lot.
Paul Mescal, always
Oh
so
God,
so
please.
watchable, so watchable.
I mean, I don't want to poo-poo him. He's wonderful, and I love him. He's one of my favorites. But
But it's her
she's just
performance that.
spectacular.
Oh, lovely.
Okay,
Okay. Am I ready to sit and cry for 2 hours in the cinema today, though? That's what I'm asking myself right now. I'm not
that
sure.
is the question, because you will. But
Okay.
it ends in beauty. It
Mm,
ends in beauty. I mean, it's
mm.
heartbreaking, but it lifts you. You're still crying by the end.
Oh, God, I think I'm going to cry already. I don't. I'm not sure I need Hamlet. I don't know.
No, but it is very cathartic.
Okay.
Okay, I
Okay. I'll
just wanted
steel
to,
myself.
yes, do it. I wanted
Okay.
to talk quickly about, before I get to my last question, but you cite Alan Watts in this book, and I also have read a bunch of Alan Watts. I was going to read this whole excerpt, but that seems like a crazy thing to do. So you say here towards the end, he talks about, I'm going to say this part. In The Wisdom of Insecurity, Watts makes a case that always convinces me, but which I always seem to forget, that life is, by its nature, uncontrollable. That we should stop trying to finalize our comfort and security and instead find a radical acceptance of the endless, unpredictable change that is the very essence of our life. Our suffering, he says, comes from the fight we put up against this fundamental truth. And you talk a little bit more, and then you go on to say, when we endlessly ruminate over distant times, we miss extraordinary things in the present moment. These extraordinary things are, in actual fact, all we have, the here and now, the direct perception of our senses. Can you speak a little about that and how that applies? I mean, we've talked about it a bit, but
Yeah.
how that applies to your life?
Yeah. I think that actually almost loops back to what we began talking about, which is that our, what joy is. Joy is really different from happiness. I think I've been contemplating joy a lot lately. Joy is intensely experienced now. It is delving into this moment and really being present in it, and whatever that present brings, rather than doing what Alan Watts says so well, which is like running from fear is fear. They're the same thing. And our constant escaping of intense emotion and allowing happiness to be the only intense emotion we'll allow is actually often the cause of our suffering. And if we can find the patience and the courage to sit with our actual feelings during difficult times as well as good times, then we're truly living a life. And there are, like, I often use the analogy of, if you take a pot of boiling water and you measure temperature in different areas, some parts of that pot will be almost at freezing point and some will be past boiling point. It's an average. The average is quite bland. The interesting thing are all those sampling points. You know, life is that pot of boiling water. It feels like we're boiling most of the time. um, but allowing ourselves to live in a much more momentary way will let us sample the incredible variation in that big vat of that seems so uniform. And that's the bit that excites me, I think.
Beautiful. It's beautifully said. Okay, so my final question is, so the book club that we started is called Madwoman's Library. The
Love it.
Madwoman's
Love your
Library.
logo as well.
Thanks. Uh, and it's based on my love of Jane Eyre and
Mm,
sort of the feminist conversation around what the woman in the attic is and what it represents
yeah.
to being a woman. And also I'd extend that to just being a person in the world.
Mm.
So my question is there something, either personally or collectively, that you feel like is trapped in the attic that needs to be freed and released into our existences?
Oh my goodness, where do you start with that question?
Whatever comes to mind first.
The thing that comes to mind first for me is fascination.
Mm,
Like we are uncomfortable, I think, with the depths of our fascination with weird things sometimes. I write about being autistic, and my life is driven by those fascinations, like by going deep into stuff that other people see as irrelevant and weird, frankly. And I think if we're going to unleash the full glory of our inner madwoman, we need to like allow ourselves our fascination, to like really let that out of the attic, and to go back to a childish way of perceiving, because kids will pick up, I write about this a lot in Enchantment, they'll pick up a flower and they'll live in that flower for what feels like an endless amount of time to an adult. We're always moaning about kids' lack of attention, but watch their attention where it actually falls. They won't put their attention on stuff that we want them to do, but they will go really deep into something that just seems ordinary to us. And they're the ones that have got it right. And I think, if we can learn to come back to our innate sense of deep fascination with everyday things, then yeah, the world would improve very quickly.
Yes, I love that. And it's also a challenge to find the things that you are fascinated with, not what you're prescribed to
Yeah,
be fascinated with. It's this thing takes my curiosity, and that's just what it is, without judgment,
absolutely.
without fear, just going towards it.
And
Well,
it will always be something that you can't buy, I guarantee that.
I love it.
Except for books. I don't know. Maybe my analogy breaks down at books, because yeah, I can always buy a book about something and feel,
As
feel
can
much
I.
happier.
Yeah, I can see all of your books behind you.
That's just a view.
Yes, I'm sure. Thank you so much for chatting with me. I
Oh, thank
appreciate
you.
it
It's
so
been
much. It's
lovely.
been lovely.
Thank you.